Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of Live Well with Barrie, the inspirational show about inspirational people giving you inspiration. Inspiration is the word for this show. This week we have Greg Emmerson. Lovely to see you.
How you doing? Good
We're on location in his beautiful cottage. So thank you for inviting us.
Pleasure.
Now this guy has got so much to tell. Master Chef, semi-finalist. He put us through torture. Absolute torture.
Apologies.
Yes.
Apologies for that.
So, you live in the area now.
Yep.
That you grew up in.
Yeah. So Edinburgh, so I went to school. I grew up in this area.
Right.
I've moved in and out several times, but always come back. It's always been a place that I gravitated back to because it's where my heart is. I know the area. I know, I feel comfortable. My friends.
Right.
They're all the sort of points in your history of your past that you remember. Some of them have gone. They might have turned. A club has turned into a McDonald's.
Yeah.
But for me, it's still Barbarella's.
Or a Wimpy.
Yeah. It's still Barbarella's. It's still. You settle where you're comfortable.
So you went to school in this area as well,
yeah,
did
so
you?
I went to school in Greenford High School, which is about 2.5 miles from here. So I know this area pretty much like the back of my hand. I had to convince my wife to move into the area, which was quite easy because I think it was about the third date. I made sure when we went out to dinner, we drove round and I took her around all the nice roads locally here. And she said, Ealin's a really nice area. And I didn't say anything. So
strategic planning.
Yeah, very, very. So Kerry fell in love with Ealing straight away and within sort of a few weeks, and at that time we weren't living together, she said to me,
But he already has his eyes on her and knew he was going to be his wife.
I told my work colleague the first time I saw her in my office that I'm going to marry that lady. One birthday a few years ago, I emailed her and said, we're going to have a few drinks, would you like to come? And I thought I wouldn't hear anything and it would just sort of go by. Anyway, she said, if I'm in London, because she moves, at the time we were working for a company not far from here in Brentford, she was sort of travelling all around the UK, so she was...
And she's a creative, isn't she?
Yeah, full on. I mean, just have to look at the house, it tells you it's not me, that's all her work. And anyway, she said she'd come, and she came, and it was a really kind of a slow burner, we outside work we really got on, which is a real contrast because in work we were just like
locking horns.
Oh, properly, yeah. She didn't get my stuff, I didn't get her stuff. And but they say opposites attract, and she's completely opposite to me. We're complete different people, what she does and what I do, so it's just been just a great time, really great time.
When did your interest start in food?
Wow. Grown up interest probably later as I was a sort of young adult, but first time in food really was I was hyperactive as a kid and I'm still hyperactive as an adult, and I drove my brother and sister so mad that I got banished to the kitchen with my mum. So I'd go in the kitchen with my mum and she'd sit me on the back door step and say, right, prep this for me, and show me how to do it. I was only about 5 or 6.
But you were so naughty.
Yeah.
She just had to occupy you, take you away from the others before they killed you.
Exactly. So give me a big pile of sprouts or carrots or potatoes, and I'm just like, didn't know how to do it, and I was learning, but I really enjoyed it. I was just like, I was with my mum, it was great. My brother and sister weren't teasing me, I wasn't driving them mad. So,
are they older or younger?
Oh, older than me, so I'm on the runt. Yeah, so runt in size and runt in mentality.
Say baby, as am I. We don't say runt.
And so that was my first foray, and sort of it sort of developed from there, and it became a norm. So Sunday's traditional roast dinner. Mum was a really great cook, great baker as well. I would, when I got up in the morning, it was just like Greg, and I was a young kid. I'd be doing, I'd have a list of tasks to do.
Right.
But I'd loved it. I'd get up and I'd be like, right, okay, bang, 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 and doing this. And I wasn't doing any cooking. It was all prep. It was learning about preparation. Because I couldn't even see the oven at that point. It was too small. I was far too small. I couldn't even see what was going on. It was like a different world. It was a different world. So that was the start. And then as I got older and older, she would give me more responsibility and then show me how to do some of the real technical stuff. And but she was a real talent.
She was a real good cook.
She was a real talent. Yeah, real talent. Big, massive. Still an influence
Because
now.
I often say that, you know, learning to cook, especially from that kind of age, it's just necessarily being in the environment. It's not necessarily the person saying, right, this is how you make a cake, this is how you roast a chicken, this is how you roast potatoes. It's just being in the environment with them, seeing how they do it.
Yeah.
And you pick it up.
Yeah, you glean that confidence. You see what they're doing. You see that multitasking stuff that's going on that they're doing. And my mum was sort of, she'd be doing something with the left hand, something with the right hand, and it would be baking and stuff on top of the oven all at the same time.
Multitasking.
And it made it look really easy. You know, I thought, oh, it can't be that difficult to pick up. But you know, as you got older, you realise it was, you know, there was lots of skills in
organisation.
Yeah, and that was for like 50, 60 years of experience. You know, she was just laying down. You know, it's just like, you know, not showing off, but just that generation.
So did your interest start in cooking from that age?
Yeah, it was.
Right.
Because what I loved about it was the direct link between the prep early on Sunday morning, predominantly, and the fact that it brought all the family together on a Sunday afternoon.
Right.
And it was a
the
link
end product.
Yeah, it was a link between all that hard work, and it sort of brought everyone together. That natural process for me was the hard work, all that prep, and then the cooking, and then the presentation, and everyone just magically appeared at the dinner table on Sunday afternoon at the same time, and there was this fantastic spread of food. You know, vegetables, and there was, you know, starters and mains and breads and desserts, and it was phenomenal.
Right.
So I just, you know, I always loved Sunday afternoon because we were always together. We always had lunch. Doesn't matter where we were. You know,
everybody
you'd have to be there.
Yeah.
It was, you know, it was non-negotiable. You had to be there, and you'd always be there. And I loved it. It was just a natural thing. It was a great time. Loved the fact that it brought everyone together. Loved the fact that, you know, I was involved in a small part of that process in terms of the preparation and cooking, but not really cooking at that age. But that was the first point where I
realised. It was the introduction
I realised,
to culinary.
Yeah, it wasn't just about
interest and skills.
It wasn't just about the food. It was what the food did.
Yeah.
In terms of it generated that togetherness, that family being together, and
well, there's that saying, isn't it? Those who eat together stay together. Argue together, stay together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
What was your first job from leaving school?
So my first job while I was at school was actually doing the trolleys at Sainsbury's in Greenford.
Right.
So sadly, my father had passed away when I was 12, and the financial circumstances at home changed, and Mum had to go out, and she was working. So at the weekends and the evenings after school, I'd be doing the trolleys, collecting them, and it was earning like, I mean, you look at it now and you look at the amount and you think, oh, it's nothing. But, you know,
it made a difference at the time.
I brought money into the home, you know,
right.
It made a difference. So that was my first real job. My first job when I left school was working at the Barbican. So I worked at the Barbican as a trainee sound engineer, but junior. You know, it wasn't anything, you know, I had no skill set at all. But working with some really experienced...
Well, you were learning the skill.
Yeah. And that was at the first job, from my first job. And then after that, I went to work for the Metropolitan Police. Not as a policeman, because I'm far too small, as an audio forensic scientist. So,
as a?
Audio forensic scientist.
Talk me through that.
Well,
that sounds very interesting.
I can't talk you through it because I signed the Official Secrets Act, so I'm not allowed to. But no, it sounds.
We have a multifaceted star here today. I mean, what is it? Audio
forensic scientist.
Forensic scientist. Okay. I can kind of picture it together.
Yeah.
From the title.
It sounds really glamorous, and it wasn't. A lot of boredom and stuff. But that was my introduction to a real sort of structured environment and real process. And I love process. I'm sort of I do suffer from OCD. I'm a bit ADHD as well, so it really fits into my pattern of behaviours in terms of at work and not at work.
He suffers from all the D's. Okay. Also drink.
Yeah, wine. So that was the first, the first sort of, couple of jobs, and the early life, and then in terms of cooking, then the interest really sort of started to really sort of develop.
And kind of what age was that?
How old was I then? So I was about 22, 23.
Right.
So to the point where at that time, I was really competent in terms of I could butcher, I could fillet fish,
Okay.
I could do the full spectrum of
Monty.
the full spectrum of what at that time, what traditionally, and it's a very sexist sort of view, that a housewife could do.
Right.
But from a male point of view, and
Okay.
it was still frowned upon from a male
Perspective.
Yeah, because it was
like,
quite feminine. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
something wrong with you. You want to cook and you love food, and so it was a real hobby. But more than a hobby, it was an obsession.
I love.
But nothing I could really speak to my friends about, because they were your archetype. Nothing wrong with my friends, but they're archetypal friends. Love football, love beer, love love talking about sports, clothing, stuff like that. Music. I love music, but I had no one I could.
Well, that's how I
talk
met
to.
you, through music.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's,
But I couldn't talk to anyone about food. There was no one I could
You
talk
could
to.
always talk to me about food, Greg.
We need a time tunnel. We'd have to go back and do it. So that was a period of time where it's really started to happen in terms of, it wasn't just cooking for me. I liked the challenge around dishes. I liked the challenge around sort of ingredients and learning about new cultures in terms of food, especially when we travelled. And that opened up my whole ideas about different kind of foods, because when I was growing up, there wasn't the breadth of ingredients that we have now. We're really spoiled now.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
incredible now.
Absolutely.
We don't have seasonal food now.
I mean, I
per
actually
se.
compare it to, say, the 70s.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get an avocado.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to wait till someone's coming back from the Caribbean to get an avocado, a sweet potato.
Yeah.
You
That
couldn't
was
get
really
those things.
exotic. That was
Yeah.
that was like gold, but
Yeah.
even more. It
But
was like,
then, with the introduction, should we say, of cheap travel,
yeah,
people who weren't able to go away before, going away and traveling and seeing other things.
and it opened their mind.
Yeah, opened their
mind, and they wanted to bring, and it's quite right. You go on holiday, you're like, I want those flavours back home, because what it does, it triggers a memory of a good time.
Yeah.
And food's all about getting back to a memory of a good time, isn't it? Like great food transports you back to a memory. It's all about
Like
food
music.
memories.
Food, music
Yeah.
takes you back to a time.
Yeah.
A smell
Yeah.
of that food takes you back to your grandmother's kitchen.
Yeah, it's very
to-
emotional. It's very emotional. It takes you back, and you're like, you want to recreate that because it's good. It makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You search for that. So for me, it was perfect. It was like, I can go places. I can find food that years ago was really difficult to source. Now it's in abundance. It's everywhere. I can get it. And I still love the seasons, but I love the fact that I can get stuff that we're not growing in the UK in season, that come from Peru, or it come from Guatemala, or it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And that's really exciting. So, mid-20s was a time where, not an epiphany, but it was a time where
You felt this is what I really should be doing.
It really made my heart thump.
Because you can even see the passion in your face when you talk about the food. When you talk about just the markets and you can see it in you. It's a very visual thing how it makes you feel.
Because I love it, because you go there, you see the produce, you're connecting with the person that's grown it. So you're that close to it being a seed. And they're bringing it to market, and then you're going to take it and do it justice, even in your home kitchen. Doesn't matter. Or it's in a restaurant, or it's a chef, whatever. But you understanding the produce, how exciting that is, or a fisherman, it's just been landed. Nothing better than fresh fish. Just incredible.
Well,
on a holiday.
A man after my own heart. I mean, shellfish, seafood, fish. That's my passion, really and truly, more than anything.
Brilliant.
Okay.
So
what are you cooking?
So I'm cooking for you today. One of the dishes I cooked on MasterChef, which is the
It better be the lobster.
lobster crab.
Yes!
So the lobster crepe I cooked at Roux at Parliament Square for 20 influential women as part of the suffragettes 100-year celebration.
When was this?
November last year.
Right.
Yeah, so you had Baroness Hale, you had restaurateurs, you had Michelin star chefs there, food heroes of mine. I mean, it was really inspirational. But we didn't know who was the actual personalities were going to be in there until we walked in the room. And me, they edited it. I was just going, oh my god, wow! Oh my god, wow! Oh my god, wow! Oh my god, wow!
I am so excited, and I'm trying to be a gentleman in this man's home, and I'm finding it really difficult. But here we go. Lobster crepe with carrot and ginger. What is it?
Emulsion.
Emulsion. This silence says it all. Look at these beautiful pieces of lobster. As I said, I'm trying to really be a gentleman here, but I could literally eat this in one mouthful.
It's okay, there's others. There's more.
But
you like
the
it?
crepe is so fine, it's so light.
Subtle dish, isn't it?
So subtle. So it's
Has
chives.
the ginger. Yeah, so you got chives in the
Red
crepe.
onion?
No, you got shallot,
Shallot, sorry.
little shallot.
Beautiful. And preparation for this dish from start to finish.
Because I was slow today, I didn't work on a time frame. I can do it. You can do it in 4 hours, but
Because that's mainly the emulsion.
yeah, you got to
Takes
work.
that time.
Yeah, you got to work on that. Yeah, so that gives you the depth, and the longer you work on that, if you're putting some brandy and stuff in there, if you want to make a really sort of, the longer you work on it, the more depth of flavour you're going to get in there.
And this dish is your creation.
That's mine.
What would you say out of all the things that you cook is your ultimate dish?
What, a master chef? I think the squid, the risotto.
Okay.
When I didn't use rice and I used squid instead, because that was
The
changed.
twist.
Yeah, changed everything. That was the one in terms of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love everything I cook. If I do cheese on toast, I love what I cook.
Yeah, because it's not going to be just regular cheese on toast, is it? I know that for sure. This is absolutely delicious, and I hope you've got the other one warm.
Yep, they're ready. You
'Cause-
want the second one?
I'm not even going to pretend.
There you go.
As you can see, I'm starting the second one. Oh. It gets better with every mouthful. Look at this
It's a
little
more,
face.
it's a Moorish dish, isn't it? It's
It gets better with
Yes.
every mouthful.
the trickery.
It's
I think that
interesting because
you've got crepe, which
it's
is
almost like you taste something different each time. Something that you didn't taste before.
right.
You know, it's like seeing a movie.
Yeah.
And you watch a movie and you say, I didn't see that bit first time.
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
it.
I think the trickery around this is you're eating something traditionally in your head is around Pancake Day, but you're having seafood with it, and that's a little bit of trickery with your taste. It's a bit of trickery with your brain, your perception around what that should be.
Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to go home and practice because I can't take you home with me. And I can't live here. Gary wouldn't be very happy.
I'll give you the recipe. Don't worry.
I think I'll have trouble with the emulsion.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
Now, when is the cookery book coming out?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to venture into that area.
Yeah, you will. You will.
Maybe. I don't know.
You can't
I haven't
keep
got plans.
You can't keep this to yourself. Or you'll have queues of people outside your door going, can you cook for me? I feel like a pig on camera. I'm really trying to to eat this slowly, but I can't.
Good.
So good. And it's almost as if you knew lobster is one of my favorite things.
Oh, I did.
Very cunning. That's delicious. Absolutely delicious. And the emulsion is fascinating. Can't even taste the ginger.
But it's there.
It's just like a
real faint. Yeah, you don't want too much because it will just kill the. It will take the lobster away.
Beautiful.
I'm glad you like it.
Absolutely beautiful. I can't believe I've eaten 2 of those on camera. And this is gonna go. Yeah, I'm so embarrassed, but I don't even care. But when did you then decide, right, this is what I have to do? I have to do my cooking. I have to take this more seriously, and it's the path that I'm going to follow.
I think after I saw Ferran on TV, then I realised, actually, this guy is taking a massive chance. He's turned gastronomy on its head, and he doesn't care what the reaction is. And he's a pro chef. I'm not a pro chef, but I thought then, do you know what? I'm going to cook. I love cooking.
And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. And I'm going to start inviting people around. And I'm going to start presenting food to them and just sort of testing their kind of perceptions around food. And then it became, you know, outside of work, my number one hobby obsession. It wasn't a hobby, it was an obsession.
Right.
Obsession. Yeah, it's good. That's the proper word.
But how wonderful for your wife that she gets amazingly cooked meals most nights.
Yeah, it's I don't think about it like that because I think she's my guinea pig, and, you know, and sometimes she doesn't want to eat it. You know, sometimes she says, "Oh, can't we just have a normal dinner tonight?" And you know, it's a normal dinner, but
it is normal. Whatever you cook is normal.
Yeah. So it's it's been interesting. When you look back, when you actually reflect on where in terms of my cooking was, and being able to openly talk about it, and now people on social media, my friends, openly talking about food, and to me, it's a bit of a revolution. It really is, especially, and this doesn't mean it sounds sexist, certainly amongst the male.
Go on.
Species in terms of the interest around food.
Yeah.
So actually, you know, traditional nuclear family, the mum was always cooking, the dad would go out to work. Things have changed significantly in a really short period of time.
I always laugh about that because, you know, they'll say, well, yes, you know, sewing is a woman's job, cooking is a woman's job, hairdressing is a woman's job. Why? The major designers in the world are men. The major chefs in the world are men. The major hairdressers in the world are men. Yeah. So how does it become a woman's job?
Yeah. But I think, you know, it's ingrained in some people in terms of their family unit.
Yes,
in terms of expectation. Yeah, the expectation. You know, that's not an area you need to be consider getting involved in because that traditionally is a woman. Is a woman. Why? It was very much challenging sort of behaviours around what traditional skill set was in the home in terms of a man
whose job was what?
Yeah, a man couldn't cook.
Yeah.
Or shouldn't even be allowed to cook because it wasn't deemed that a man should be cooking, you know. And that all just turned on its head. And fantastic because, you know, women clearly were empowered to do lots of different things. There's a real revolution around females in terms of working, the environment. And I think that freed up men to actually go, do you know what?
I can do this as well.
I can cook. Yeah. I can openly talk about it and just not be a stigma. It's not
anything about my sexuality or my it's just one of my interests.
So it was kind of an offshoot of you know, the revolution of women being empowered to do lots of different things. It actually empowered a lot of men to be able to do and openly speak about different things around the home. You know, I could be creative, I could do this. You know, my thing was obviously cooking, but there were lots of different things around the home that were deemed to be traditionally female tasks.
Right.
that, you know, you don't
Yeah.
have to pin it to a gender.
So to where we are now, Mister, very wicked man. He had us all in suspense. I mean, I was feeling seasick, car sick, just nervous, butterflies in the stomach, watching this guy on MasterChef.
Okay.
Now tell me about your MasterChef experience from start to finish.
So, in terms of this, you know, I was on the last series, which was aired this year. So it started from me from February until sort of April. But really, for me, it's a 9-year journey. I've been applying for that show for 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've continually applied for 9 years. I've been really close in previous years to getting what I thought on the show. I'd had auditions. I've got to certain stages, but never got to the point where I get the call and so they say, "We want you to be on the show."
And you see, I have to cut you there because this is the thing that people on the outside don't see or understand.
Yeah.
When somebody is successful in whatever they do, people outside are not aware
Of all
of the
work.
foundation and everything that went before,
Yeah.
and how much work you had to put in before that.
Yeah.
As you say, 9 years
Yeah.
before you actually got in
Yeah.
to even be accepted to be on the show. And that's with most things, you know, because the public just see the finished product and they think that the person just said,
He walked in.
I woke up one morning and thought, oh, you know, I want to be a dancer, I want to be a singer, I want to be
Yeah.
a chef, and here we are, I'm
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen like that.
No. So you know, I'd been applying for 9 years. I'd really taken cooking as an obsession really seriously, you know, because I knew if I go on there, I want to make sure, you know, I do myself justice. And,
Yeah.
you know, I don't.
And that you can be the best you can be.
At that time, yeah. So
Because I remember seeing you did something with the Roux brothers.
yes,
A few years back.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I did a day with Michel Roux, which was incredible because he's one of my food
So all the
heroes.
time you were doing stuff that were
Yeah.
building blocks
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and stepping stones and foundations for where you are now.
Yeah, but you didn't realise that at the time. To me, it was gathering experience and being exposed to, you know,
And you probably see now with where you are with your cooking and your culinary skills.
what that's done for me.
Why
Yeah, of
you
course.
weren't accepted 9 years
Yeah.
prior.
Yeah,
Because
and I
you
wasn't
really
ready.
weren't ready.
I weren't ready.
That's
I
it.
weren't ready mentally.
And as you say, you know, people always want the best of everything in life, but
Yeah.
are you ready to receive it?
Yeah.
Are you the best you can be and ready to receive
Yeah.
it? You know.
So it transpired. I went through the process again last year. You apply online, so that the previous series had just finished on TV, and it comes up at the end of the credits. It said applications are now open for 2018.
You see, you were watching it with that much vigilance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a real obsession. I'll go into the detail in a minute, but so I applied straight away within seconds, and my wife sat there and said, "You're going to apply again?" I said, "I'm going to keep applying until I get on there, even if I'm 75, 80 years old. I'll just carry on."
And going in on a Zimmer frame.
They'll
I'm
wheel me
here.
in. They'll wheel me in. Yeah. So
Now that's determination.
yeah, because you know, I had a drive, and I wanted to get there.
So what is that process to get to the audition even?
So
What did you have to go through?
So the process to get to audition, you apply online,
Right.
and it's a generic set of questions, and you do the application, and you try and be creative in your writing. So I'm not Shakespeare, you know, you try and tell a little bit about yourself and your influences of food, and if that's successful, you'll get a call from a producer.
Right.
And then the process starts. So I got a call from a producer and said, "We like your application. I'm now."
And what did you do with this application that was different from the others?
I've gone through that in my head.
And you've done great.
I don't think it was any different to previous years. I really don't.
Right,
I just
okay.
think it was the time.
The time,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so the producer rang me and she said, "Right, I'm going to conduct an interview with you on the telephone and ask you lots of different questions, completely different from the online application." and we went through this, and it was just like me and you talking now, and someone talking to me about food. So I'm completely gushing. I'm really enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I'm very animated, even though I can't see it. I've sort of got the phone wedged under my ear, and all my hands are going everywhere, and talking about food and pans and process. And she said, right, okay, if this is successful,
It's actually beautiful to watch him talking about it, because look at the enthusiasm and excitement in the sparkle in the eyes, you know.
So then she said to me, if this is successful, you'll get a call from a senior producer and you'll go through another process of an interview on the telephone.
Exhausting.
Yeah, it is quite tiring, and they don't give you a time frame.
So it can just be any time.
Yeah, so you look at every time you're getting a call and there's no number on it.
Is it there?
Your heart starts going,
butterflies,
you're jumping around. And I got the call and I was just jumping in the lift at work, right? And I thought, oh my God. And I went, hello, and I said, if it cuts out, ring me back. So I'm getting in the lift. And I had the interview in the lift, partly in the lift going down to the ground floor, and come out the building and run around the outside of the building and got into a place where I had good coverage. And the interview carried on and they asked me loads of questions. And then she said, if this is successful, you'll get a call from the show producer and that will mean you'll be invited on the show. And I didn't get too excited. I thought, I've been here before, so don't get too excited about it.
Oh, so you got that far with your prior
applications, yeah. And then it was about a 3.5 week wait. And I know. And then I was in the office at work. I just started a new job. I think I've been there 2 weeks. And there was a missed call on my phone. And the code was the same as the very first call I had. I looked at it and I thought, no, it's coincidence. It's not going to happen. So I rang the number and I said, hello, I had a missed call from you. It's Greg Emmerson, thinking it's a work call. And she said, hello, it's Claire. And I said, I don't know Claire. I don't know Claire.
I don't know Claire.
I said, I don't know Claire. She said, oh, you do? You do? And I went, do I? And I thought, it was a prank call. And she went, it's Claire from Shine, who are they produce MasterChef. She said, we'd like you to be on the show. And I dropped the phone and I just started jumping around the office, screaming, lost my voice. I went absolutely...
In the office at work?
I went absolutely mental. And in an IT environment, they're like IT geeks, sort of staring at you, think I've completely lost it. And I'm bouncing around like a lunatic and ran out the door, forgot my phone, I was running around just going mad.
Yes,
and then came back in and got my phone. She's still there laughing because she could hear it. And she said, this is brilliant. And she was really excited. She was almost as excited as me. But
well, she was as excited for you because she could tell your enthusiasm.
Yeah. And then she said, right, this is the date we'd like you to come in. We'll send you the pack and all the legal information, all the contractual stuff that I can't talk about, but all the, and then it became real. And then it was like, it's happening. I'm going to be on there. And then it was not nerves, it was real sort of determination and excitement. Right, I'm going to go on there now, and I knew exactly in my head what I was going to be doing, and
already you knew in your
and that's what I mean.
And your heart,
when we were talking earlier about being ready, I was ready. I was really ready, and I planned a holiday. It felt really well because I was taking Kerry away for a birthday. We went to Santorini where we got married, and she was teasing me saying, you've only come away so you have a tan when you're on TV. And I said, it's just like, it's work like that. It's coincidence. It's a complete coincidence. And so we went away, we had a holiday and came back. And then it all just, it just...
I think this guy's been on about a month's holiday because I've been trying to get him for ages. And every time he's like, I'm on holiday. What, another holiday? Another holiday?
Yeah, we scheduled a few breaks. Clustered together after the
yeah, but you know what, it all makes sense now with the timing. It all makes sense now because I was thinking it was going in real time. I'm thinking, how are you getting there?
How are you there? Here, there, and everywhere. And doing the same. So and it was it completely took over my life. It was fantastic,
and rightly so at that time.
And yet I couldn't talk to anyone about it.
That must have been dreadful for you, because something that major you want to share.
Yeah, you want to share.
You want to share.
You want everyone to,
with your friends, with the people that love you, and you know,
and support you. You know, friends, family.
So you have to be disappearing like secret squirrel.
Yeah.
To go and film this stuff.
Yeah. So I'd go into work, and my boss and my director knew, and my wife knew. They were the only people that knew and so I'd go in and say, look, you know, I need to be off for 2, 3, 5 days. And they were fantastic at work, and my wife was
how lovely that they, you know, your bosses in your full-time job were that supportive and encouraging.
Yeah, because it could have been
difficult and awkward, and
because ultimately, you know, their resource is not going to be at work, and someone has to fill in and do something. So they were really supportive. My wife was fantastic. Because she didn't see me for the best part of about 4 months, even though we were in the same house. You know, it was just me getting up at 4 in the morning and practicing and writing menus and developing and playing and completely obsessed with it. It completely took over my life, like everyone else is in the competition.
You're not alone with that.
And it was. Apart from my wedding day, it was the best time of my life. Because I felt I finally got to a point where I could openly talk about all my cooking, and it being a complete obsession. Yeah. It was really clear to see. Everyone that knew me anyhow knew that I was obsessed
Greg and
with food.
Cooking and kitchen go together.
Yeah.
They're an equation in themselves.
Yeah. And so it was a real it's really difficult to explain. It was almost like a real change in me, even though I had my IT life and that pays the bills and does all the stuff that we can do and allows us to live our life that we do. But there was this other thing coming up in parallel to it that I knew was going to take me into a different direction.
Realm of life,
and it was really exciting because it meant, from a creative point of view.
Well, I was just going to say, that word was just on the end of my tongue. You're a creative.
Yeah.
You know, cooking food is creative.
Yeah.
Like designers, like, you know.
Yeah, and it's a freedom. It's a real freedom because you're not bound by anyone else's rules. They're your rules. Yeah. And you can be like that or...
And people either get it or they don't, but it's what you create and it's yours.
And that was a real kind of real freedom moment. Real good freedom moment.
Yeah.
It felt really good. Just being on the show at the start. And my biggest fear was, don't go in and flunk in the first show and then come home, and because you don't get a second chance. It was make sure you do yourself justice. And I got through the first show, and then I felt really comfortable there. And I switched off from the cameras completely. And it was almost like, for me in my head was, I'm going to treat it like I'm at home. I'm cooking. I got friends coming around and we're having some wine. Everyone's buzzing around and saying, what's that? And pointing at the food. Have you cooked that? What's that? And trying different things. And it being real social, and it worked for me. You know, that was the way I dealt with it, and it worked for me. You know, other people might have a different perspective on how it was for them, but that's how it worked for me. I mean,
holding that in for 4 months.
Yeah, it was tough.
That must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, it was tough because I didn't know how TV works, and TV is a real magic world, and you know, it's not what it seems in terms of how what you see on screen and how it's put together.
Reality, a completely different thing.
Yeah, completely different.
Not with this show, of course.
So
we've not had any breaks, not had to do any retakes, nothing
at all. No edits, no edit, and so it was. It was a really interesting.
So semi-finalist.
Yeah.
And then you were off to New York, and then off somewhere else. And came back, and then I hear pop-up restaurant.
Yeah. So when the show was on, there were the first dish that sort of created a real spike in the professional world in terms of some of the feedback I got in terms of Instagram private messaging and stuff, and on Twitter, was when I did the breakfast egg.
Yes.
And I got loads of real positive stuff. You get negative stuff as well.
Always. Ignore the negative stuff. Deal with the positive.
Well, to me, the feedback was a gift. It was the first time outside
so
of
many
my
people paid interest in what you were doing,
and they
to
weren't
paid
my friends and
attention.
family, and it was objective feedback completely. It wasn't subjective as family. They love you. They're never going to tell you it's terrible. They go, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
They're going to say it was great, even though they might have left it, or they might have put it in their pocket or hidden it. So,
Or giving it to poor Mia, which
exactly,
is the cat.
yeah. And me, I put loads of weight, but so it was the first time I'd been, my food had been judged in the professional domain and around that environment and publicly, and that's quite scary because you're opening yourself up. You open the kimono, don't you? It's like, whoa, I'm opening myself up to public criticism, and that's you're not brave because you've got no choice. But it's quite difficult to kind of process it all.
Yeah.
And moving on, got to semi-final. I didn't have a preconceived idea where I'd finish, and I just wanted to make sure on the show
You did the best you could.
exactly.
And you can't do any more than that. No one could ask any more than that.
I wanted to make sure I didn't play safe. I went on there, took chances, had no regrets, and come away and think, you know what? If I did it again, I'd do exactly the same.
Yeah, because I couldn't do it any better than I did.
No.
I really did the best I could. Yeah.
And it finished. In terms of where it was broadcast on TV, our holiday was booked to go to New York and California on the Saturday after the Friday of going out on TV, and people thought it was all planned.
I was one of those, okay? I was completely gullible, sucked in, and I'm saying to him, but hold on a minute, you only came off yesterday, how come you're in New York tomorrow?
And it looked like that, didn't it? But,
Yeah,
that's
it
the
did.
trickery of TV, isn't
Yeah.
it? And we booked that holiday about a year in advance. It just the way it fell, But it was perfect timing for me and my wife, because the madness of the whole show, being on the show, and then the period of time we couldn't speak about it, it allowed us to get away from it and the madness. Because when the show aired, our lives just changed completely. No longer can I just walk down the street and go on the train. I was getting people asking for selfies, and it just went. And you're not prepared for that because you forget it's a TV show. You become public property.
It's the BBC,
yeah. And we had prime time, and it was crazy. It was crazy. So we went away. We had a great breakaway, and then came back, and I had lots of messages in my inbox, and one from a restaurant in Twickenham saying, "Would you like to pop up with us?" And I said, what does it entail? Because it was a complete new thing for me.
Yeah.
And they said, complete takeover for you for our restaurant. You write the menu, right? You work with our team. Our team will put the dishes together. It'll be your night, exclusive ticket only, and so we've done.
How brilliant!
Yeah, it's been fantastic because then I'm in the industry. I'm working with professionals. I'm in that environment.
That are cooking your menu, and you're kind of like the head chef. You are the head chef. You're the boss.
And they were really nervous about me coming in. It was like really bizarre. Like, but you're the pros. They were terrified of me coming in. So, and it's been a dream, more than a dream. It's just been fantastic. It's been so good. So that they've been really successful. I've got some dates in the Isle of Wight. That I'm doing some venues there in July. I didn't plan it to be this way. I didn't have any sort of preconceived ideas of what would come out the back of it.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm just embracing it. I'm loving it.
Absolutely. That's all you can do. Love and enjoy every moment.
And I want to be cooking, And
doing what you love.
Yeah. So
what's happening with the full-time job now then?
So the balance, I'm trying to balance my full-time job with my cooking world, which has proven to be a bit of a challenge.
I'm sure. Is your boss demanding that you bring in gourmet meals every day?
He has asked. He said, "We're going to bring some food in." I haven't brought anything in yet. So
keep them sweet. Come on, just cook
I know.
a
I need to do
little
something.
lobster. Take it in.
Yeah, right. You got.
So what are we making here, Greg?
So what we're doing is I'm just arranging the cured cucumber on the plate, ready for the scallop dish. So I'm going to pan fry the scallops. We've got a lime mayonnaise, quite a loose one, not too thick. We've got some just nice herbs, a little bit of fennel.
And what are the herbs?
We're going to use the fennel fronds. I've also got some dill that we'll use.
Okay.
Which I haven't prepared yet.
And what are these herbs here?
So we just got some pea shoots.
Pea shoots. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
And these are obviously king scallops.
they are king scallops.
Look at that
Yeah.
beauty there.
Yeah.
Wow. I think he did his research before this because he knows all my favorite things are seafood, lobster, scallops. I'm waiting for him to whip out a Dover sole in a minute.
So in terms of the mayo, it's quite a loose one because it's got lime in it.
Can we get a close up of this? Because I love those bubbles. It's like the froth.
Yeah. So we've got quite a loose one. It's not too thick.
Right.
And we want it quite artistic. So in terms of...
Okay. Okay.
So get the pan nice and hot.
And that's butter there, is it?
A little bit of butter and oil.
Right.
Vegetable.
Because the oil prevents the butter from burning, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I have limited knowledge.
No, you've got good knowledge. You've got good... But we want a bit of caramelisation on the outside. Yeah.
He's waving that king scallop around very provocatively.
Yeah.
Scallops prepared by Master Chef Greg.
Good. So I hope you enjoy this. So it's pan fried scallops. You've got a lime mayonnaise. You've got a cucumber. You've got some dill, and you've got some pea shoots. So quite summery, but great flavours of seafood and the seaside. So enjoy.
If only you could smell this. I mean, never mind taste it.
Very silent over there.
This right here is everything. Absolutely everything. The right caramelization on the scallops. The mayonnaise. I would never associate this with mayonnaise though.
Lime. It's nice though. It's light, isn't it?
It's so light.
Yeah. It's refreshing. It's got that. It's not too rich because sometimes mayonnaise can be too rich. I love mayonnaise. I love rich food. But for me, it just gives it a different dimension because you've got that lime. It's fresh.
Look at the size of this scallop. I'm saving that baby till last. Yes, I'm a child. Sorry. Well, Greg has just prepared us two amazing dishes. The first was a lobster crepe, which was absolutely phenomenal. And the second, another one of my favorites, scallops and pickled cucumber, which I devoured in a most ungracious fashion. However, we're about to go out and continue the interview, and you'll hear more about Greg, his life and his story.
I'm not going to burn my bridges. You know, I know my life's changing, and I'm going into a different phase of it.
Yeah.
In terms of my career, and it's a little bit scary as well because I've done 30 years in IT, and then I'm moving out of something that pretty much in my comfort zone, and I'm moving into something.
And though you love it, I know it's your vocation. It's unfamiliar territory.
Of course, yeah, a new kid on the block.
Yeah.
Even though I'm 52, you know, but I'm still a new kid on the block.
It's not that you started at 25 or 26.
I haven't gone as a 16-year-old and like worked my way through the industry.
You're coming in.
I come in at a different level, you know, and
as an old toad already.
Yeah, and also I understand that there might be some negative thoughts towards that because some people might think, well, he's kind of getting a bit of a leg in, you know, he's coming in at a higher level for some people, and I understand that because they think, well, you're not paid your dues and stuff. So for me, in terms of my cooking, it's about being credible by the industry.
But yeah,
you know, I want them to.
Because that's the thing, and you say, as you said, all the things that you went through, the processes that you went through, gaining your experience and your culinary skills. Now that you've got to that place, you just want to be, I don't have to have done, or don't need to have done 30 years,
No.
but I just need to be credible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just need to be acknowledged by my peers.
Yeah.
That even though I haven't done 30 years,
Yeah.
but you know what, I've put the work in
Yeah.
the time I've been here
Yeah.
to actually get to the standard that you're at
Yeah.
and be acknowledged
Yeah.
as such.
And there'll probably be a split audience. There'll be some that will never accept me, regardless of what I do, and there'll be others that go, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, he's a credible person, clearly loves food, and for
Yeah.
me it's about the passion.
Absolutely.
You know, any job you do, you know,
Yeah.
if you love what you do, it will come out in the
It
end
comes
result.
out, absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite clear. So
Well, so what are you going to do from now on?
so the plan up here is
As they say, the only plan you can make is not to plan, but go on.
so the plan is I want my own restaurant. I want a restaurant. I want my own business,
Yeah.
and I want to be cooking and see people eat my food in my establishment.
Look at that smile. Just look at it. It's like just talking about it. He hasn't even got the restaurant yet. And he's like a kid in a sweet shop.
Yeah. So that's you know, that's the end game. That's where I want to be. But it's gonna be difficult to get there. It's gonna be hard.
Of
It's gonna
course,
be hard
of
work.
course.
But I've had a
But
taste.
as they say, the longest journey ever made started with a single step.
Exactly.
And you've done more than a single step so far.
Yeah.
So you know you're on
Yeah.
your way.
Yeah.
You're on your way. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Barry.
A pleasure.
No, good to
And
have you
an
over.
honour.
No, thank you.
And I'm going to get my picture in with the Master Chef apron.
You are.
You're going to see it. Watch it. Thank
No,
you.
thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, for inviting us to your home. Much
Awesome.
appreciated.
Pleasure.
Lovely little cottage. You'll see a bit of it later. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. And anything that resonates with you, please give us a message on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or on the website. Look forward to hearing from you. See you next time. Take care. Bye.
Brilliant.